Aloha, I'm Malia Zimmerman, and this is News Behind the News. Today we have a great guest who's going to talk to us about tourism in Hawaii. And with all the events going on right now, how is tourism and what are we going to do to keep our economy going? There's no better person to talk about that than Mike McCartney.
Aloha, thank you for having me.
Sure, thank you. You have so much experience. I was hoping you'd share a little bit about yourself first because you're such a humble guy and you've done so many things. And
some would argue maybe too much experience.
No, that's okay. You still look young though. But tell us about yourself. You've had so much experience in the government and also in business.
I was born and raised in Kahalu, and I would have to say I went to Hi'ia Elementary, King Intermediate, and graduated from Castle High School. I'm married, I have 3 children, and my business career has been very interesting, from working in the Senate for Charles Taguchi, way back in the days when there were Abercrombie, Taguchi, Cayetano, and Carpenter. They are known as the Senate dissidents. So right out of college I worked there, and after that I went to work for HMSA for a little while. Then I went to work for HSTA as the negotiation specialist. And then I was fortunate to get elected when I was 28 into the state Senate. So I represented Kaneohe to Kohuku for 10 years. And then I thought 10 years was enough time to serve in the legislature. So I retired and ran the Department of Human Resources for the state under the Cayetano administration for a couple of years. Then I did PBS Hawaii.
PBS Hawaii. Now you went into television, so you went from government and then into television, but you also had another experience with television as well, before PBS, right?
Yeah, my small business and part-time job while I was in the legislature was Hawaii Stars.
Everybody remembers that because that was at Almoana Center.
Yeah, Almoana Center. It was just an idea that I had, and it was back during the economic downturn, 1993, and things were not so good, and we said, let's just get everybody to feel good about each other. I didn't know Carol Kai. I called her on the phone. I said, I got this idea, you and Kimo hosting this karaoke show.
And that was Kimo Kahuana, right?
Kimo, yeah. And then she goes, and I have a friend, his name is Dirk Fukushima. Let's work together. And the 3 of us formed a company, and we literally put the show together and thought we were going to do 13 weeks. And the company and the show ended up going 13 years. And Carol and Dirk are still in business today and doing television production, but I learned a lot about TV.
That's
the hard way and the good way from them.
That's great. Yeah. And
so then fun days.
And then that experience kind of took you, plus all the other experience, took you into PBS.
PBS. So we at Hawaii Stars, we not only did that, but we did Keiki Stars, we did Chefs in Paradise, we did a show at Larry Price called The Coach, and
I remember that.
All kinds of other programs. And then PBS was a wonderful experience because it really is a station that belongs to the people, and was there for 6 years. Then
I visited you there once, and I remember walking in, and there was all the characters from the show were there out there. There was like all the Sesame Street characters, and they were all in the studio. That must have been fun. Yeah,
it was a great job, great people, and PBS has a long tradition. It went back to the days of ABC, NBC, and CBS. And then the fourth station was PBS, and it was supposed to allow that public access and alternative programming for the airwaves. And so it was a really good experience to be there, and there's a lot of great programs that come out of it. I still love Frontline. I think that's one of my favorite shows is Frontline, and of course the Antiques Roadshow.
Right, that's a great show.
Namele, in Hawaii, that local production show. So Leslie is the perfect fit for that job. Now I think that
Leslie
her nature,
took it over from you,
her
right?
nature feel is like just perfect for that station.
That's good. Well, you've had so much experience, and then how did you get roped into taking over the Hawaii Tourism Authority?
Then I went to the Hawaii State Teachers Association, where I went back and to my old job, and I thought, okay, I'm going to work there for as long as I can and be the executive director, and was there for 2 years, and I got a call one day. There was an opening in HTA. I got a call and said, would you consider applying? And this was in November, and I said, no, I can't do that. We got too many things going on. And I had served on the HTA board, and maybe I'll tell you the story about that later on.
Yeah, definitely.
And then in February, I got another call and said, maybe consider putting in your application. So I talked to the president, Roger Takabayashi, at the time, and he said, you should put in your name. And so I did put in my name, and about a month later, I was surprised, but I got hired and into this job. But for me, it's a rewarding job because tourism feeds everyone in Hawaii. Yeah. And it's important. It's an important piece of our economy. It's an important piece of our lifestyle, and it means a lot to many, many people. And so it's an honor to be there.
Well, basically, our Hawaii economy is made up of three major components, right? You have military, you have tourism, and you have construction. And right now, well, tourism was doing pretty well last year, right?
Yeah, if you think about it, how do we import money into our economy or an export? And how do we bring money into the state? Military, defense spending, government contracts are one way of bringing federal money in. But private money comes into Hawaii by visitors. And visitors, spend on an average trip about $1,800 a person.
That's great.
And to tell you a little bit about how we were doing in 2007, visitors spent about $35 million a day. $35 million a day. About $12 billion a year was contributed to Hawaii's economy. And then what happened? 5 major events. We had Aloha and ATA shut down. So those two major airlines shut down in April of 2000.
So you can't get the people here.
Yeah. Then we lost 2 of the 3 cruise ships that we have.
Right.
We had the financial crisis, and we had H1N1.
Right.
And so we had 5 major events that took place. So our economy really took a hit. And so you're feeling it today, whether you're a government worker and you see furloughs, or you're a small business person trying to make the payments that you need to make. It went from 35 million a day in 2007 to 30 million a day in 2008. And in 2009, it actually dropped to $27 million a day. And then just recently, this last year, we got back up to 32 million in 2010. And the first 2 months, January and February of 2011, were record-breaking months for the history of tourism in Hawaii.
Oh my goodness.
About $2.1 billion came into the state in January and February.
Wow.
And we're back to the 2007 levels.
Now. Well, what took us to that? Bring us up to speed on what happened that brought us down again.
Well, what brought us down again was the tragic events in Japan,
right.
The tsunami and the earthquake that took place there. And if you think about it, 17% of all Hawaii's tourism business comes from Japan, 13 flights a day. But I like to tell people that it's not just about business. The relationship that Hawaii has with Japan goes back centuries. From the Hawaii monarchy and the relationship that it had with the Emperor of Japan to people like my ancestors who migrated here to work in the sugarcane plantation and became part of Hawaii's history. So we have a very close relationship. And so what happened in Japan, I think, was real tragic. That earthquake, people are still missing, and they're the 3rd largest world economy, and so if they slow down, it affects everybody, and it is affecting us. Our business is down about 17% last month. Right now, it's down about 27% from Japan. Today, I heard good news that the future bookings are outpacing the cancellations.
Oh, that's good.
So it's starting to turn, and one of the things that you hear in Japan is, like, for example, today there's a story in the paper about baseball in Japan coming back, and it's bringing back hope. And I think one of the most important things that has to take place in an economy is, yes, we have tragedies, and we're going to have them all the time, but we got to keep things going. The world is more and more interdependent on each other, and if we don't keep working, we don't keep buying, we don't keep supplying each other, then it affects everyone. So baseball's a part of the economy. It's about hope. Yep. And so having baseball back in Japan is important, just like travel. Travel is a very important element in Japan. They have a goal of 20 million outbound visitors a year. They want their people to travel and experience the rest of the world. And there's industries and businesses built around that. And if people don't travel, it hurts their economy. So we are working very hard with our Japanese counterparts to get that started up again, so that not only can they thrive, but we can get back on our feet too.
It's partly don't you think it's partly a cultural thing where they're mourning, so they feel they shouldn't travel? Or I know when we were at war, the first Desert Storm.
Yes.
there's a big drop in tourism because they wanted to show respect. And of course we were saying, show respect by coming here, right? We want you to come. So
we kind of looked at different events, Malia.
Right.
We looked back at the Kobe earthquake and analyzed what happened there.
Right.
We looked at the Gulf War. We looked at H1N1. We looked at the SARS event. This is an event that happened internally. So, they don't come to America because they were respecting America for that situation.
Right.
This is their situation.
Sure.
So I think we're sensitive on our end to not say, hurry up and come.
Right.
I think we're sensitive, number one. I remember that first night sitting in the bunker with the governor and us being concerned not only about Hawaii, but what was going to happen to Japan.
Right.
That next day, governor, lieutenant governor, we went to the consul general's house to offer our condolences to Japan and then delivered some flowers and a proclamation. So our first and most important message to Japan is, are you okay?
Right.
And we're here to stand with you. And so if you look at all the programs that are taking place within the community, I mean, it's amazing. Probably $2 million has been raised in this community to support Japan. People have called me and are bringing things over to Japan. Our marketing contractor is making 100 spam musubis at a hotel and going to go deliver them next.
That's amazing.
Just to a few people that he's going to see. And then just little things like that. But I think Hawaii's response to tell Japan that it's more than business. This is our relationship with each other, I think, is important.
Well, like you said, so many families here have family back there. Just when the tsunami and earthquake happened, look how many people in Hawaii were there.
Yeah.
All the entertainers, or they had just been there, and they have so many ties.
There's about 500,000 hula dancers in Japan.
Amazing.
And our kumu hula teach there. So the relationships are very deep. And if you think about it, what we have in Hawaii today, the businesses we have, the opportunities we have, were really built because of travel from Japan. A lot of our growth in this state took place because of the travel that took place in Japan. So what we have in Hawaii, we have a lot of people from Japan to thank for that, because that, over the last 25 years, that has stimulated our economy and given us jobs and opportunity.
Well, I just went to the Kokua for Japan event. Yeah. That was a wonderful event. And I actually was happy to see some Japanese tourists there coming in to see it. So that was good to see them.
So I think what they're starting to say is that in order to help the victims, we got to keep our economy and our country going, because that's how we're going to rebuild, is by helping each other keep everything going. It helps them rebuild. If everybody stopped what they're doing and didn't go to baseball games or didn't do what they did, then the economy would continue to lag there. So I think there's a tremendous spirit there that people are saying, let's keep moving forward. It doesn't mean that we're not sad. It doesn't mean that we don't have to help each other. But it also means that for the future, we got to keep the economy going. So we'll be working very closely with our Japanese counterparts to look at the right timing and when it'll be best for people to come back to Hawaii and visit in greater numbers. Because we're saying this is your home. We're not just a place to visit. Hawaii is a place you can call home. Right.
Well, I'd love to know more about the mainland visitors as well, but I wanted to ask you real quick, for people that don't know what the HTA is, the Hawaii Tourism Authority, what is that agency about?
We're a state agency. Our funding comes from the tourist accommodation tax, the hotel room tax. So we get about 34% of the 13% that gets charged to a hotel room. And that comes to us, and we use it to market and brand Hawaii. So we provide marketing programs, and we also provide programs in Hawaii, everything from safety and security to making sure the destination is safe. What we say is it's people, place, and culture. We help differentiate Hawaii from anywhere else in the world. It's our people, our place, our culture. And what HTA does is work with the industry, works with the community, works with government to leverage all those opportunities to help create the best tourism product we can have.
Yeah. And so who's on the Hawaii Tourism Authority? Is it, you said about...
We have 12 board members that are ultimately appointed by the governor. 3 are recommended by the Senate, 3 are recommended by the House, and then 6 appointed by the governor, and they serve 4-year terms. And they set tourism policy for the state of Hawaii. And the staff, like myself, we carry it out and execute it. Ron Williams is the chair of our board, and he's the president and CEO of Atlantis Adventures.
Oh, great.
So
okay.
we have people from the industry on the board, to people like Shaw Thompson, who entertain and provide entertainment, to Kumu Frank Hewitt, who just left the board from as our Hawaiian cultural practitioner,
Oh, good.
to people like Vernon Char, who's an attorney in town.
Wow, quite a diverse group, which is good. Bring
Yes.
ideas forward. So how do you work with the other agencies in terms of, like, for example, Hawaii Visitor Bureau? Or what is it, Hawaii's Visitor Association
Hawaii
Bureau?
Visitors and Convention Bureau,
Bureau, right,
HVCB.
sorry, right.
They're our marketing partner,
Uh-huh.
and their primary responsibility is they market North America for business and leisure business. So all of Canada and all of North America, they have a contract with us. They won the bid, and they provide those services. We have other contractors in Asia, in Japan. We have contractors in Oceania, which is New Zealand and Australia, and we have contractors in Europe that provide basically advertising. They do PR in that market, public relations, and they do travel trade, which is educating travel agents about the destination. So Hawaii has a very sophisticated distribution network of how visitors come to Hawaii, and what we try to do is promote and affect those channels. But what we say is that we can do all the advertising you want out there, but if we don't have a destination where the people support it, and our place is clean and safe, and we have the lowest spirit, it's not worth anything. So we got to also make sure that who we are as a people, place, and culture, reflecting the host culture and its values. That's what makes us special. And then from there we can market.
Right.
But if you don't have Hawaii, you can't market anything. So it's because of Hawaii this is possible, not the other way around.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So where do the tourists come from, the most tourists that
North
come?
America is our bread and butter. We're so fortunate that people from North America have been coming since the 60s. Well, actually before that, when the Lurleen and those ships would come, and there's about 3 million visitors that come from the U.S. West, and about 1.6 million that come from the East, and then another 400,000 from Canada. So those are our real base markets, the West Coast.
Canada's always been good to us too.
Yes,
They've
Canada's
been very
great.
friendly visitors and coming year after year.
Year after year, and we're their home away from home.
Right.
So it's a great relationship, and they get to clear customs in Canada. So when they get off, if you notice, when Canadians get off the plane in Hawaii, they already have cleared customs, and that's a special agreement that the Canadian U.S. government have.
Okay, let's talk about that. Now, we've tried to get that agreement, the same kind of agreement with Korea, or do we have it with Korea?
Well, we have what
And
they
China,
call visa
right?
waivers.
Uh-huh.
So any Japanese citizen can just come to Hawaii without a visa. They can stay for 3 months.
Yeah.
It's automatic. And we also have that with Korea. With China, you need to get a visa, and the process is a little complicated. There's about 700,000 visas issued by the United States to Chinese citizens, and we get our fair share. We get about 10% of those that come here, and we'd like that process to be faster,
right?
And it's the more we learn about it, the more complex it gets. Our last governor, she worked really hard to work with Ambassador Huntsman to try to facilitate that, but it is a lot more complex than anyone knows. It's more than just travel, it's international diplomacy. So we'd like to see China visas expanded, and once that does happen, I think Hawaii's future will be in good hands, and I think that's a great export for America. If Chinese are able to come and visit America, you're talking about billions of dollars that will be counted towards our export side, and travel is a great export because I think it's not just about business, but if we get to know each other and experience each other, it's about creating peace.
So what else do we have in terms of other markets? I mean, we have European market. Do we have people coming from Europe?
Yeah, we have about 120,000 people or more come from Europe. It's been that way for the last decade. There was a time we put a lot more money into the European market, but one of the challenges with it is about the same number of people came.
It's such a far flight, right?
It's a far flight, and there's a lot of other competing destinations, and
it's also really beautiful in Europe.
Beautiful, but
so gorgeous, yeah.
But that's a good market for us. They have long stay vacations. In Germany, Willie K will tell you that he's filled stadiums there.
Yeah,
and
I've
Brother
heard him talk
Is
about that,
and
right?
Mountain Apple is selling like #1 in Germany. So we're going to take another look at Europe and see what we can do there. But the challenge is still going to be the lift, and people want a vacation experience and they want to get there as quickly as possible. So, excuse me, for Hawaii, I think where our hope lies is in Korea,
right?
With visa waivers, and they're promoting a lot of outbound travel. China, of course, is a developing market, and Oceania. Australia, New Zealand is an emerging market that we haven't really, I think, capitalized on. Their summer season is our winter, and our winter is their summer. So during our shoulder periods is their peak season. So we're going to be working a lot closely with them to cultivate that market. Hawaiians flying there now, and that could develop into a nice little market for us.
Now, how is it working with the airlines? Hawaiian Airlines is doing well and expanding and buying new planes. But do you see other airlines adding flights, or how is that working right now? Are they taking away flights? How is it?
The airline situation is very competitive. All the things I talk about, the thing that keeps us up at night is the price of oil.
Right.
And the price of oil just drives the cost of the airline business up and makes things very unpredictable. So we work very closely with airlines. We have promotional dollars and marketing dollars that we work together with airlines to help drive demand. So the #1 goal that we try to do with our marketing programs is drive demand. We have to fill the seats, and the seats need to be filled in order for an airline to continue to yield and keep those flights. So believe it or not, the #1 provider of flights to Hawaii, I just looked this up, and is Hawaiian Air. 19% of all seats into Hawaii. We have about 9.2 million seats that come into Hawaii. #1, 19% of all the seats is Hawaiian Air. #2 is United at about 17%. #3 is Delta Airlines at 15%. And then #4 is American at 10%. And then we got Alaska.
Alaska Airlines? I was wondering if you're going to say that.
Alaska's #5 at 9%.
They just started coming, what, a year or two ago?
Yeah, and they've provided a nice service to us, especially out of the Northwest and the West Coast. And about 14 to 15% of their business is Hawaii now.
Great.
So Hawaiians done a really good job for Hawaii. We have them to thank for a lot of the things that we see today in Hawaii. That they've taken a lot of risk, and 19% is a pretty large size of the market.
Now tell me about the legislature. You go down there, and of course you know a lot of the people because you used to be there. But how does it work with your budget? You have to get your budget from the legislature, from the TAT you're talking about. And every once in a while, a lawmaker will say, well, let's take the TAT because we have to balance the budget.
Yes.
And I know different agencies are worried about that. I know Hawaiian Airlines is worried about their tax credit being, or their tax, the GE tax exemption, I should say, being revoked. So what kind of concern, how concerned are you about that?
Always concerned. Our average funding over the last 10 years has been about $67 million. And we use that money for DLNR and developing our parks and developing our trail system to natural resource programs, to Hawaiian cultural programs, all the way to our marketing dollars. So yes, we're worried about that because Hawaii's economy is so dependent on tourism that we need to continue to drive demand. If we don't have this in place, our economy, I believe, would even hurt more. And that's the underlying base and foundation for the tax system. And so if we don't have a good economic base, which is driven by tourism, then we won't have the money available to pay for programs within government. So that's what we share with them, but we know that hard decisions have to be made. They made a hard decision not to raise the excise tax. So now we got to look within And I think all of us have to tighten our belts. So even myself at HTA, we're going to have to learn how to be a little more efficient. We're going to learn how to be more productive, more effective with the money we have.
And you're a business guy, so you know how to do that.
We got to do that.
Right, right.
And so to just say, give us more money, and while everybody else is tightening their belts and we're not, it's probably not realistic living on an island and living in this state. So, I think the legislature will give us enough money so that we can do an effective job, and then it's going to be my job and our job for our board to make sure that we make that dollar go further, and that's what we'll do. And we'll just keep everything going. So they got some tough decisions they have to make. There's some fundamental things that have to be done, and there's only so much money to go around. So we'll do our best to grow the pie. See, our job is to grow the pie.
I know, right.
And we're going to do that.
Yeah.
And beyond that, it's other people's job to figure out how to distribute that money. So I always have to remember that I don't have a vote anymore. I'm not a member there, and I have this role.
Yeah.
And so sometimes they remind me, Mike, you don't have a vote. You're not here. Yes.
Yeah.
Stick to your job. So my job is to grow the pie and to make sure that Hawaii's economy is sound from the tourism standpoint. And so that's my kuleana. And I try to stay out of all the others.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, in the past, you've had to battle the TAT tax being retaken, not just this year, but also in past years under Governor Lingle.
So I think they'll be fine. I think
it'll be okay.
Yeah, I think that they've, people there realize that what we do and what happens is important. So the TAT, though, part of it is used for the general fund.
Yeah.
And so a portion of it is used to fund general fund programs. And that's okay. Part of it goes to the counties to fund, county programs. So it doesn't just go to the Hawaii Tourism Authority. Only about a third goes to us. About another third goes to the counties, and another third goes to the general fund. So it's about one third. And I'm also counting the convention center in that about $39 million goes to run the convention center, and it brings in about $350 million of
it pays
visitor
for itself.
spending. In different ways.
In different ways.
Yeah.
Okay, in the last 30 seconds that you have, can you just give us a projection about what's going to happen in the future, you think, in tourism?
I think the future, this next quarter is going to be tough.
Yeah.
But I think the balance of the year is going to be positive. The most important thing is we as a people, as a destination, need to work together to create an experience here that is unlike any other place in the world. We can do all the marketing we want, but if we're not Hawaii, we won't be successful. So we got to be ourselves. We got to be Hawaii. We got to live aloha.
All right, great ending to the show. And if people want to find out more about the HTA, do you have a website?
Yes, we have a website, hawaiitourismauthority.org. There's a lot of statistics on there, a lot of facts and figures, and they can get a lot of information there.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today. This has been News Behind the News. Aloha.